What's going on, everybody? It's Professor Zeus, and I'm back with another video. If this is your first time at the channel, just know I greatly appreciate you. Why don't you go ahead and hit subscribe? We're on our way to 2,000 subscribers. Today, we're looking at some interesting news. IC Norcom track star Baton incident. So, if you haven't seen it, a high school track star, Alayla Everett, she hit her opponent, Kayleen Tucker, across the head or behind the head with a baton during a relay race at the Virginia State Championships. And, it's gone viral. And now Everett, she's speaking out saying it was an accident. I've watched the footage. I got some thoughts personally. And, there's some strong ones, but we're going to break this down, try to keep it real, try to keep it fair, and try to keep it critical, and talk about what this means for sportsmanship and accountability. Stick around, hit that like button. Let's get it started. So here's the deal. March 4th at Liberty University during the 4x200 meter relay, Kayleen Tucker, she's from Brookville High School. She's passing Everett on the outside, and out of nowhere, bam, across the head or behind the head. But let's see what the official news has to say about it.
Tonight, a Portsmouth family says they're telling their side of the story in reference to a shocking incident at a Virginia High School League indoor track meet that left one athlete allegedly injured after she claimed she was struck by a baton held by IC Norcom High School senior Alayla Everett. Everett spoke exclusively to their side's Markeisha Jackson, who brings us much more.
That's crazy.
The young athlete in question says there's more to that video than meets the eye.
Everybody has feelings. So you're physically hurt, but you're not thinking of my mental, right?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep it playing, but that's crazy. She said you're physically hurt, but you're not thinking about my mental. She's physically hurt, and you could have messed up her mental. Like what? Hold up.
Alayla Everett is a decorated athlete and senior at IC Norcom High School. She would have never thought her trip to the Class 3 track and field state finals last Tuesday would take a drastic turn.
They're going off of one angle.
Alayla visibly emotional because of this video from the meet. This was a 4x200 meter relay race, and she and a Brookville High School athlete were rounding a curve on the track.
Hold on, guys. Just I'm gonna be fair, but listen. This is the girl who's speaking out right now. This is the girl who gets hit. If you watch her right here, she swings her arm back.
School athlete were rounding a curve on the track when they nearly collided with each other.
After a couple times hitting her, my baton got stuck behind her back like this.
Stuck behind her back.
And it rolled up her back.
Rolled up her back.
Lost my balance, and when I pumped my arms again, she got hit.
It appears intentional, but Alayla says it was accidental.
But I know my intentions, and I would never hit somebody on purpose. I didn't have to see your first video, second video, 10th video. I know 100% that she won't do this to nobody.
Her parents outraged at the backlash. The IC Norcom relay team was disqualified, a ruling that a local USA track and field official finds questionable. He says a play-by-play look shows that the Brookville athlete was running closely to Alayla.
If a person comes up
like her arm is cocked. Her arm is cocked.
On the outside, they got to be a full stride ahead of me before they can cut in front of me.
The other family spoke with the news station in Roanoke asking for an apology from Alayla, something she wants to give, but she says the other athlete hasn't been receptive, blocking her on social media, and instead the Everett family was served with court papers.
And now we have to go to a city 3 hours away that everybody hates our guts already.
They're assuming my character, calling me ghetto, racist slurs, death threats, all of this just because of a 9-second video.
VHSL says they are still reviewing the situation, and Portsmouth Public Schools says they will support whatever ruling comes from the league. Markeisha Jackson, 10 on your side.
Snap your W2.
So we see the footage, right? So you saw her, right? You saw her cock her arm and hit the other girl on the back of her head. And she ended up with a concussion and probably a fractural skull. IC team, the girl who was talking, their team got disqualified, and now the Virginia High School League is investigating. Look, I'm going to try to be fair. You know, I've watched this clip a dozen times, and a lot of other people have spoken about it. They've provided plenty of different angles, but this is actually my first time seeing that angle from the back. Usually, the clip that's being shown the most is them running towards the camera, and then you can see it. But it doesn't look like an accident to me. If I'm being completely honest, the way Everett pulls her arm back and swings, it's got intent written all over it. And you know, I get and I understand that races get heated, you know, bodies bump, but this wasn't like she wasn't just flailing her arms like all random in a sprint. It honestly looked deliberate, and that's why I started getting like, man, come on, because poor sportsmanship like this, it's you know, it puts a disgrace and a bad taste in people's mouth, and that's not what sports are about. Now, a lot of you guys don't know, I actually used to wrestle in high school. So I've been in the thick of competition, you know, sweat, adrenaline, the whole deal. And, you know, wrestling's intense, right? You've literally trying to pin someone to the mat, trying to get as much points as you can for your team. But even in that, there's a code, right? I never dream of like cheap shotting somebody I'm going up against or on or off the mat for that matter. You know, if I lost, I shook hands, took my L, and I worked harder next time, right? I tried my best with my wrestling career in high school, but I would never ever try to do something like this, like try to injure that person because that other girl, she could have she got a concussion. That girl's talking about, oh, you know, she was hurt physically, but what about my mental? You literally hurt her physically and mentally, literally, right? That baton, the swing of that baton, she wasn't just losing her cool because the other girl like ran in front of her. That's literally you're crossing the line. You know, Tucker was ahead. She was running her race, and Everett couldn't handle it. Right, the girl who was speaking, Everett, she couldn't handle it. So instead of pushing through and try to do her best, she lashed out. And for what? A high school relay? Come on, man. Like, that's not how you represent yourself, your team, your family, or your school. And I feel for Tucker. You know, she's out there, you know, trying to do her best. And now she's sidelined with a concussion because someone else's bad call. You know, it's messed up. And like we saw Everett, she was speaking out and, you know, she's crying, saying it's an accident. She lost her balance. The baton just happened to hit Tucker. It was stuck behind her back and just swung up and all that. She's like, I never hit someone on purpose. And, you know, she claims that, you know, she's getting death threats and racial slurs and all that type of stuff. You know, her family's backing her up, saying that she's not that kind of person. And they're basically like coddling and enabling this. But, you know, if I'm the dad, I'm like, yo, obviously you're gonna take your daughter's side, but come on, like let's be honest. Now imagine if the baton was in the other person was in the other person's hand, right? Was in Tucker's hand, right? The girl who's crying on TV, her family would be outraged, right? And honestly, you know, I feel for anyone who gets hate online, death threats, they're never okay, period, right? That's a whole other type of problem we need to address. But let's not dodge the main issue. The video doesn't lie. She says she lost her balance, but how does your baton accidentally smack someone twice in the head with that kind of force? It's a baton, right? I've never personally ran track, but if you've seen those batons, they're like stainless steel or aluminum. I don't know, but I know they weigh a few pounds, right? So that's not an accident. You holding something with that much weight. It's not on accident. I'm not buying it, you know. And her family saying, you know, oh, she'll never do that. That's not accountability. That's shielding her from the consequences, right? If you play sports, you do it to the best of your ability. And I always tell people, life is a game. You can't play anybody else's hand. You're dealt a hand, play it. Try your best at the track meet, whatever. If it doesn't work out, come again next year, right? But don't try to intentionally injured. Don't try to intentionally injure your competition. Who does that help? Now everybody's looking at you crazy. Now when schools and things like that for college, you're like, reaching out. They're probably going to reach out to Tucker instead of her, right? It's not a good look. It's not a good look, right? You know, if this was my teammate back in the day, we'd be having a real talk about owning up, not making excuses. We're all about accountability on this side, man. And this whole thing's bigger than one race. It's about sportsmanship and what we teach young athletes. Sports are supposed to build character, resilience, respect, discipline. When you pull something like this, you're not just hurting your opponent, but you're letting down everyone who's poured into you, your coaches, your teammates, your family, your parents. Now I see Norcom's athletic director. They went ahead and apologized, which is a start. But Everett's response feels like a deflection. Again, I'm gonna keep saying, she said, "Oh, she's physically hurt, but what about my mental?" And I get it. She's in high school. I was there, probably overwhelmed by all this type of backlash, but actions have weight. Tucker's mom said no one from Norcom even checked on her daughter after she got hurt. Just imagine that. You literally see her falling off of the side of the race because she fell down, and the girl, she's still running. She's still running because come on, man. That's cold. Like, if you mess up, accidental or not, you own it, you apologize, you make it right. It would have looked better if that accident happened and Everett like stopped and like went to go check on the girl she was racing. That would have shown some accountability. That would have shown some sort of integrity. But no, you still ran. Like you saw in the video, she was still running. Like she had to make it to the finish line. You got to apologize. You got to make it right, man. Hiding behind, the whole it wasn't on purpose while the other girl's in the hospital, that's weak, personally. And we need to teach kids to step up and not duck actions and consequences. So where do we go from here? I think this is a chance for a bigger conversation. How do we keep sports competitive but clean, right? How do we handle mistakes, intentional or not, without letting it spiral into hate or excuses? I'm not here to pile on Everett. I might have sounded a little heavy on it, but she's young, she's human, and we can't pretend that this didn't happen or that it's okay. Tucker deserves justice, and sports deserve better. Positive energy to both these young women. I hope everything works out in the end. But let me know what you guys think. Drop your comments and I wanna know how you guys feel about this video. Did it look intentional? How should it have been handled? Let's talk about it, man. If you like this breakdown, smash the like button. Send this video to someone who might see some value in it, and never ever forget, it's you and I verse for a reason. I teach you, you teach me. We both take what we taught each other and what we learned from each other and apply it to what's going on. That's the only way life can go on. Until next time, peace.